And look at this, we've got a squirrel jumping across the trees. And another squirrel, look at that. So scramblers, there's lots of animals even out in winter. You'd expect to only see them in spring, but I suppose we're heading towards spring soon. In fact, I was only watching squirrels recently at the parish centre, digging up nuts from under the trees that they had buried in the autumn. So there's lots of exciting animals that God has created, because and that's what we're learning today, isn't it? We're learning about God, the creator of animals. God made animals. There he is, going around again, the squirrel. Oh, jumping around. I wish I could jump in trees as quickly as that. I'm quite good at climbing, but I definitely would not be able to jump from one tree to another. So here I am at the parish centre, and there's more squirrels here too. There's one just here that I've just been watching. Oh, there he is. I've just been watching him digging around in the grass for nuts. Oh, he's gone again. And in fact, if we look over here, there is another one just over there that's also digging for nuts. Oh, and there's our other one again, look, bounding across. There he is, digging for nuts. And he'll be digging for nuts that he's probably buried in autumn for the time now when it's winter, when there are no nuts on the trees. So, scramblers at home, I wonder if you can see the great tit and the blue tit there that are sort of playing around and having some fun. Here's one more video for you, scramblers. See how many different types of birds you can hear. You can tell it's different birds by listening out for different songs. Hi there, scramblers at home. I hope you enjoyed those videos that I showed at the beginning of this video of me walking around Chapeltown and seeing lots of different wildlife, such as the squirrels, and hearing all the birds. And I'd love you now to have a look at these pictures of spring and the wildlife that I saw in spring last year when I was still living in Cumbria. So do enjoy these photos too. So I hope you enjoyed looking at those photos too. So I've shown you lots of wildlife that you can see in England, and the reason I've been showing you lots of wildlife is that we're looking at a story of creation that we read in Genesis, and the part of the story that we've got to today is that I'm going to be talking about all the animals that God has created. So I'm going to read it from the Bible. So my Bible is the New International Version, which is the one we normally use in church. But I'm actually going to read it from the International Children's Bible. So here is Genesis chapter 1, verse 20 to 25. It says, "Then God said, 'Let the water be filled with living things, and let birds fly in the air above the earth.' So God created the large sea animals. He created every living thing that moves in the sea. The sea is filled with these living things. Each one produces more of its own kind. God also made every bird that flies, and each bird produces more of its own kind. God saw that this was good. God blessed them and said, 'Have many young ones and grow in number. Fill the waters of the seas and let the birds grow in number on the earth.' Evening passed and morning came. This was the 5th day. Then God said, 'Let the earth be filled with animals, and let each produce more of its own kind. Let there be tame animals, and small crawling animals, and wild animals, and let each produce more of its own kind.' And it happened. So God made the wild animals, the tame animals, and all the small crawling animals to produce more of their own. God saw that this was good. So isn't that amazing? So we learnt that God made all the fish that we see in the sea. He made all of the animals and the sort of that we see on the land, and all the birds that we see flying in the sky. So what I've done here, I hope you can see, is I have made a farmland. So I've made a farmland here with the farmyard. So we've got the tractor in the shed. We've got the farmer's wife here with the dog. And then we've got lots and lots of animals here as well. So what have we got here? Well, we've got cows, we've got horses, we've got a cat, we've got some pigs, a sheep, some chickens, some geese, and some ducks as well, and also the dog. So I've actually written a song over the last few days that I'd love to sing to you about farmyard animals. So here it is. I went to a farm one day, there were lots of animals there. Which ones I hear you say? Well, this is what I saw. There were cows, cows, moo, moo, moo. Cows, cows, moo, moo, moo. There were cows, cows, moo, moo, moo. There were lots of animals there. I went to the farm one day. There were lots of animals there. Which ones I hear you say? Well, this is what I saw. There were chickens, chickens, bark, bark, bark. Chickens, chickens, bark, bark, bark. There were chickens, chickens, bark, bark, bark. There were lots of animals there. I went to the farm one day. There were lots of animals there. Which ones I hear you say? Well, this is what I saw. There were sheep, sheep, meh, meh, meh. Sheep, sheep, meh, meh, meh. There were sheep, sheep, meh, meh, meh. There were lots of animals there. I went to a farm one day. There were lots of animals there. Which ones I hear you say? Well, this is what I saw. I saw pigs, 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 pigs. There were pigs, pigs. There were lots of animals there. I went to a farm one day. There were lots of animals there. Which ones I hear you say? Well, this is what I saw. There were ducks, ducks, quack, quack, quack. Ducks, ducks, quack, quack, quack. There were ducks, ducks, quack, quack, quack. There were lots of animals there. And then you can keep singing the song with all the other animals too. So I haven't sung about the horses yet. I haven't sung about the cat yet. I haven't sung about the dog yet. And I haven't sung about the geese yet either. And sometimes you might even find donkeys too. So I hope you enjoy that song and you can sing it with your parents. And now I'd love to come on to the craft. So you may have seen that I've done lots of crafts here. So I've painted lots of different wild farmyard animals. So I've got some pigs, some sheep, I've got a chicken here, I've got a horse up here, another sheep here, and a dog here. And then here I've got a cockerel or rooster. And then here, again, I've got a sheep and I've got part of a cow, and I'm going to finish that cow with you guys here. And then I've got a duck here, and then I'll talk about those two in a minute. So you might have noticed that all of these are done with fingerprints and then a bit of drawing afterwards to help to put some detail on it, or handprints as well. So what I'd like you to use is some paint, your fingers and your hands. So what I'm going to do is, to start with, I'm going to replicate this duck for you. So I'll show you what I did there. So it's nice and messy, this. So actually, what I did was I just poured the yellow paint onto my hand. Oh, that's quite cold. Then I grabbed my paintbrush and then I painted it onto my hand. Here we go. So this is really fun. There's nothing more enjoyable than using paint, and especially if you can be really creative with it, like using your hands and your fingerprints. So there we go. I'm obviously rushing this a little bit so you can be a bit more detailed. So there we go. So there's my hands, nice and yellow. Now what I need to make sure I do is get that bit facing upwards, because that's going to be his head. So there we go. And then what I advise from the few practices that I did earlier is that you need to push down all of your fingers as you're doing this, so that all of the paint goes on, and even push down your hand as well. There we go. That is looking good, I think. And then you lift it up. Yes, that has worked. And then I'm just going to wipe my hands. So you can use kitchen bowl, obviously, and I've just got a bit of paper from the kitchen as well. So it's not quite as yellow as last time, because I didn't quite put enough paint on, but there's that so far. But it's still missing something, so we now need some orange. So at this point, I'm going to have to mix some orange. So I'm going to put a blob of red down there, and then a blob of yellow. And then I can mix that together to make some orange. Fantastic stuff. There we go. Maybe add a little bit of white, because that's not quite orange yet. Lovely. And then I'm going to get my finger this time, so I've put it on my finger. So I'll put 1, 2 for the beak, 1, 2 for the legs, and what I might do actually is do 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe even a 5th one for his wings as well. Oh, I smudged that one a bit. So there we go, and look at that. How cool is that? So I've used my hand and my fingerprints to make a goose. Now on this one, as you can see, I went round the outside so that you could clearly see that it was a goose, but actually you don't have to do that. You could just leave it as it is like that, because you can use your imagination to see that that's a goose. And I'm also going to get a bit of black on my fingers to finish this cow here. So this cow at the moment is looking a bit white, so we know that cows have black patches. So let me get some black and put my black fingers on that. Oh, blimey, I've smudged that a bit. That's okay. Doesn't matter if I make a mistake, because it makes it look even cooler. And there we go, I've finished my cow now as well. So that's the craft for us to do today. Sorry, one last thing, Scramblers. I forgot to tell you that when I was doing my animals, I didn't just do farmyard animals, because we know that God made wild animals too. So if you want to, with your fingerprints, you can also do lions. So I've done a lion here using yellow thumbprints and fingerprints, and then orange fingerprints for the mane. And I've also done a penguin up here, which is a black fingerprint, and then when the black paint dries, you can then put a white fingerprint on the top. And then don't forget, you can also use a pen afterwards to add in the details like I've done there, or like I've done on these ones too. So sorry I forgot to explain about the wild animals too. And again, the idea is that all of this is linked to the theme of the fact that God created all the animals and all the birds, and he created all the fish that we see as well, that you see in ponds and in aquariums if you go to aquariums. So isn't it amazing that all of the beautiful wildlife that we see outside is all created by God? So we're going to end like we always do by holding on to our Lego or Duplo cross and saying a prayer. So, dear Lord God, thank you so much for all the beautiful and amazing wildlife that you have created. Thank you for the birds in the sky, the fish in the sea, and for the animals that we see on the land. Thank you that you made it all. And thank you that when we go out for walks, we can enjoy listening to them and watching them. Amen. So I've really enjoyed sharing with you today all about the fact that God created animals. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye, Scramblers.